It looks like Jay's mom, Debbie, has all the same questions we have in the Jay Slater case, and even went as far as to call out Lucy, Jay's friend he went on vacation with. So Debbie dropped some major bombshells that really backed up Cybersleuth theories that his friends might have covered up what really happened to Jay. So justice for Jay. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell. So poor Debbie, in her most recent interview with The Sun, made some startling admissions. One of the last people to ever see Jay alive, a convicted substance dealer, claimed to the Daily Mail that the reason Jay went back to the B&B was to, quote, carry on partying, end quote. But in the same breath, Abe contradicted himself by saying they all just went to bed when they arrived at the B&B. Jay's mom rightfully asked why they would all go to a remote part of Tenerife to party when all the action was where Jay was staying in Las Cristianos. After backlash, Abe went on TikTok Live to change his reasoning for going back to the B&B, saying that Jay had lost his key and he was just trying to help him out by giving him a place to stay. I mean, it's safe to say that Cybersleuths think there's a lot of holes in Abe's ever-changing story. Namely, why wouldn't Jay just stay behind in the resort town of Las Cristianos, attend another rave with Brad, go to his hotel he shared with Lucy and ask the staff there for help, or just simply call one of his friends that were with him on the trip? I mean, the possibilities are endless, and there really was no good reason for Jay to travel 23 miles north with two men much older than he was at 2 a.m. I mean, Debbie in this new interview even appears to be asking those same questions, and I really hope that she doesn't stop asking these questions, because what perplexes me about Abe and Rocky was that they were let go 24 hours after Jay disappeared when they were done speaking to the Tenerife police. And many cybersleuths have pointed out that Tenerife is controlled by this criminal underworld, which could explain why they were let go so easily. I mean, it was revealed through a Cybersleuths research, Wax Unfiltered, that the police work hand in hand with the criminals there. So Abe and Rocky then proceeded to go live on social media, joking around and even trying to sell their side of the story about Jay on private Telegram messages and even shilling cryptocurrency. I mean, it's obvious to me that these two men that last saw Jay alive are just trying to make a buck from it all. Sleuths have pointed out that whenever something major happens in the story that is good for these two, like the authorities deeming Jay's passing an accident, they seem to go live and joke around and almost like celebrate. In fact, these two men held a barbecue the day of Jay's celebration of life. It's almost like they're kind of celebrating they got away with it. Jay's mother in the interview also pointed out that Jay would never just not have his phone charged. I mean, he went to this B&B where there are a ton of chargers all over, and Abe even said, oh, I gave him one of my chargers. So how is his phone only at 1%? Apparently, the two people at the B&B, Abe and Rocky, said that Jay couldn't charge his phone because there was no chargers on the couch that Jay was sleeping at. But if you just look at the B&B's photos that they stayed at, there were chargers all over, outlets all over where Jay was apparently sleeping that night. So this is just one of many examples of the story just not adding up. And, you know, maybe Jay was actually deleted before he even made it to the B&B. That is a prevailing theory. I mean, there's a video footage of what sounds like Lucy, his friend, freaking out that Jay met a more nefarious end. So a lot of people think that he was murked before he even went to the B&B, and that the final photos on his Snapchat were actually staged. But if you can believe it, it gets crazier, because many cybersleuths from the start of this case suspected that Jay never made it to the B&B like we just said, Also, that Ophelia, the owner of the cafe at the B&B, was paid off to say that Jay was alive that night and that she saw him there. But then we get confirmation from Jay's own family that this Ophelia character is, how can we say this? Shady AF. So when Jay's family asked Ophelia, who was literally the last person to see Jay alive, Ophelia did this.
I didn't see her face to face, but to put her hand up like that in the face of Zach and his dad, there's no, nothing there, is there?
Did you try to speak to her? Was that when she did that?
Yeah. And then there was another time we went up and the cafe was open. We pulled up. She seen us get out. She dragged all the chairs in and shut the shutter.
Right.
So what is Ophelia hiding? Cybersleuths point out that Ophelia is allegedly the ex-mayor's sister. So the Tenerife mayor, who I'll just call Roman, I'm not going to say his full name, was disgraced from his position because he had ties himself to shady dealings on the island. So again, we're looking at the criminal underworld in this case because that's what private investigator Mark Williams Thomas said, MWT. And haven't you noticed MWT has actually gone silent? Was he scared off the island? Ophelia was the one who said she told Jay about the bus at 10 a.m., but he insisted on walking. Ophelia then said she saw Jay at 8:20 a.m., about a kilometer away from the B&B he was staying at, walking. And this is a weird thing about Ophelia. Like, she told him where his hotel was, which was way down here, but Jay was walking in the wrong direction away from civilization. So really, why wouldn't Ophelia tell him, hey, you're going the wrong way? But regardless, there's more to it because her timeline doesn't add up either. And the timeline they're trying to push us with in this case really doesn't make any sense to me. Because according to Jay's friends, Jay made phone calls to Brad and Lucy at the same time at 8:30 a.m. I don't know how that's possible. You can call two people at once. But according to Brad, Jay was sliding down rocks in the ravine at 8:30 in the morning. But the only problem with that is Jay would have only been at Cafe Mirador at 8:30 a.m. And I mean, this is publicly available information. If I punch in the B&B and this cafe, which it's safe to say Jay was heading towards, he would have only have been here. And his phone location last pinged, as Chris Tenerife said, right around here. So Jay was nowhere near his final location where his phone last pinged, and he definitely wasn't in the ravine if we're going by Ophelia's timeline. So add to that the screenshot Lucy told Sky News she got of Jay's final location had its battery charging and had full Wi-Fi signals. So how is it that Jay, had a battery charger and full Wi-Fi signals? Oh, because Jay didn't send her this. Who sent her this? It had to be somebody close to Jay because the green dot shows that the person who took the screenshot was right near where Jay vanished. I mean, it's starting to look like Jay didn't send this final screenshot like she claimed, and that Jay wasn't alone in the Maskin Mountains the night he disappeared, and he definitely did not send that screenshot at 1% battery with no Wi-Fi signal. So Lucy has some explaining to do. Debbie points out that if Lucy knew Jay's location like she had claimed, why didn't Lucy just get a cab? I mean, it was only 40 minutes away from their hotel. Or better yet, just ask Jay to wait where he was, sit on one of those slabs of rocks available to him on the Masca Highway. So that's a problem I have with the mainstream media narrative in this case. Everyone just keeps painting Jay out to be this naive young man who decided to make an 11-hour hike dehydrated after 3 days of partying because he was simply hungry and wanted to head towards a beach that went nowhere. I don't believe that. I think there's something more going on in this case with all of this sketchy evidence available at our fingertips. And it's starting to become obvious to not only anybody who has been paying attention, but to Jay's own family. Just listen to what Debbie had to say about Lucy.
Why didn't she ring me straight away? She was that worried. And she was ringing the police at that point. Why didn't she ring his mum? Because she knows that the bond that me and Jay, she knew the special bond that me and Jay have.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, Lucy never called Debbie to tell her that her son was missing. In fact, all the reports I am reading about this case was that the police, the Tenerife police, were the ones to inform Debbie, not his friends. So get this, Lucy was confirmed to be the one to set up a GoFundMe like hours after Jay disappeared. Debbie had to contact GoFundMe and not make Lucy the beneficiary of the fundraiser. Debbie didn't even know about the GoFundMe until much, much later. So a lot of the evidence that we had at the start of this case that we thought wasn't authentic ended up being true. So who's to say this isn't? So an insider that worked with Jay and Lucy as a substance runner at these clubs, who worked on behalf of kingpins who didn't want to do the dirty work and would hire like young people to sell, party supplies. The insider stated that Lucy set up a fundraiser to try and pay back a ransom to get Jay back alive. I mean, this insider is starting to look more plausible because they even listed the amount of 30,000 pounds, which is exactly the amount that Lucy had set up the fundraiser for. I mean, speculation, but did Lucy try to raise that money to get Jay back in time so that she didn't have to tell Debbie she got him involved in this mess? What really happened to Jay? Is there someone out there who murked him and now they're free? And will that person do this again to more people? I can't help but notice the huge amount of missing people on the island of Tenerife. So justice for Jay. I think he deserves a proper investigation, and hopefully we can prevent this from happening again. Sound off in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe by clicking the icon here, right next to Miss Gabby, the hardest working private investigator on all of YouTube. Bye, guys.